Hello guys, it's me, Stark, and I'm here today to share with you a game where every single Shu weapon got used. Yes, I'm still elaborating some other Civ guides, but honestly, this game itself is a perfect example on how to play the Shu civilization. We do have here a Shu versus Korean game on the ranked ladder, played here between Viper and MBL. So two of the best players in the world, Viper who recently got second place in King of the Desert. Sorry if I spoil you, more than 1 week ago my friend, come on. Alright, enough time for you to watch. So basically, how is this going? Viper has already started here with 4 villagers on the wood. I think that the Shu do benefit here from getting extra villagers on the wood, because they do generate extra food. So going for strategies that allows you to go for more villagers on the wood in the start, like Drush or even fast castles, where when you actually put like 4 villagers on the wood is a good way to already benefit yourself from the bonus, opposing to those very fast builds with like 2 views. Is it possible to still play with like only 2 views on wood and go for like a very quick archer play with the Shu? Yes, it is, and that's not a problem. I'm just saying that with this approach you are actually getting more benefits from your civilization. Viper is already aiming to go for a fast castle. As you can see, he's already sent another villager to start walling even more. He's making these small palisades around the wood and the gold, so by doing this he's basically securing here his gold against a melee unit. So no man-at-arms, no militia, no scouts are actually gonna be able to hit either his wood line or his gold. In order to attack Viper, you would have to either aim on his berries. Oh my god, MBL is about to lose the scout. No, he's not. Viper just released the views. Very interesting. He could have trapped this villager, I don't know, I wonder why didn't he do that. Anyway, Viper is now adding a market. This market will also help to block. If a scout tries to go inside, he has to go around the market, where he can be hitting by the TC, and he has to go around this house while he's still under TC fire, and then there's a lot of chances for Viper to kind of wall this area and make it fully safe. The only exposed resource so far are the berries. MBL, in the opposite, guys, is going for scouts. So he basically opened scouts, and he's using his weapons there to try and scout the map and get more information about that. Information is key, especially when fighting against civilizations such as the Shu. And you know that whenever you're facing a guy going for the fast castle, there are 2 big risks there. The first one is that this guy will actually send villagers forward to build his aggressive buildings, be either a castle or maybe siege workshops, for example. So you need to scout and you need to try to be aware and deny it. And this is exactly what MBL is trying to do. Viper is there with his scout trying to lure MBL out of this position, but MBL realizes that something is wrong and he's going there with another scout. There's a tiger there, and MBL is around with the scout. On the top there's another tiger, so he's basically working together with the nature to make sure that no villager goes here and sends like forward buildings to annoy him. And suddenly, look what he did spot. Viper fighting against the tiger, and that just gave him enough time to walk around the villagers, denying them from building anything. Viper is even trying here to build some palisades, but then the scouts and the tiger just deny it. So very good work from MBL. Had these villagers be able to reach castle age around 30 minutes with no contest, they would just drop like double siege workshop while being walled. So this could have been the big play of the game here for Viper, but he just got denied because of this MBL scouting. So a very simple way to at least delay the effectiveness of those Shu strategies. Viper knows right now that the all-in is not gonna work, so he's already focusing here on making villagers, and instead of just going for the war chariot, he's also adding a few monks. His war chariot are on the barrage mode, which means that they can actually hit multiple targets. And the thing is, since he does not have the forward siege workshop, he's just slowly building these chariots, which means that scouts in small numbers can actually counter them. So he can kill scouts if they are low HP especially, but if the scouts get close, he will eventually die. He knows right now that MBL is going heavy on the stone, which means that he's probably going towards the wagons, so right now there is not a lot that he can do. By the way, guys, I think that's worth mentioning. The war chariot do take a lot of bonus from villagers. So if you are getting faced with like a small number of those war chariots, and you can actually trap them closer to villagers, you can basically take them down using vils. Look how much HP villagers actually take from this. It's insane. So it has no melee armor, and villagers also work pretty well. Since it has no melee armor, another good option to try to counter these wagons are knights. But honestly, you actually need to be these will only work like after 17 or 18 minutes, because before that you were probably not going to be able to afford some upgrades for the knights, and the naked knight will probably not trade so well against this unit. Viper knows that he is not going to be able to finish the game. MBL has heavily invested here into walls. He has used a lot of buildings here to wall himself, and without forward siege workshop, Viper just does not have enough time to break it down and keep pressuring MBL. Also, playing aggressive versus Korean can be quite hard since they will have access to the guard tower, so he does decide to switch into a booming. So now he's going for a booming game. By the time MBL reaches the castle age, Viper is already adding like the third town center and is slowly collecting the relics to create some win conditions for the later stages of the game. His wagons are there, shooting at a stable, and MBL is right now upgrading the knights. Since those are upgraded knights, this means that he will actually be able to get a better trade against the chariot. One knight to absorb all the damage, and then the others close the gap there. Viper tries his best splitting up his units so that they can actually hit different targets there and try to get a good fight. But the thing is, these are even more expensive than knights. So in equal numbers, if the knight guy is able to win some fights, this is truly bad for the wagons. They are just not going to be cost efficient here into creating more. So with a few knights, MBL basically countered, or at least stopped the aggression without even having to use other siege weapons such as the rocket cart to defend himself. Game has changed. Right now Viper is in a defensive state. He's using his monks there to collect relics. He already has 4 relics collected, so he has a huge lead on both relics, and also he has recovered his economy by adding multiple town centers. MBL right now, guys, is adding more TCs and trying to boom, and also adding a castle so that he can transition into wagons. But Viper, thanks to the relics and the 3TC approach, is now able to fight in equal against MBL, despite sacrificing a lot of his economy and even losing some views while going forward. So yes, getting faster to the castle age can often be very good for the defender. Now it's basically a matter of trying to control the map the best as possible while trying to boom here. So the wagons can actually be pretty decent against small numbers. Knights, which can actually be a bit troublesome to the wagons, can actually be countered by monks. Same thing can be said by the unique units. Look at that. 2 wagons there. 2 monks trying to convert the wagons, 1 conversion landed there. So basically trying to attack monks when you have like wagons or some very expensive units such as the Conquistador and so on as well can actually be a bit troublesome. The Korean wagons are heavily countered by monks, and oh my god, MBL was trying there, guys, to go for a forward tower. This forward guard tower would just allow him to have a great position to keep pushing Viper, but Viper did spot that and ended up killing. A few ways to deal with the monk threat. First one, going for devotion, is exactly what MBL is doing here. By going for devotion, it will become harder for the enemy monks to convert to your wagon, and you are basically going to gain a few extra seconds to jump on the enemy monks and kill them. Of course, this is actually going to work if you are actually considering like bigger armies and small number of monks. If you're playing against like a Bengali guy with like 50 monks, this approach is not likely going to work so well. 1 monk killed, 2nd monk killed, 3rd monk killed, no conversion landed. So this is exactly what MBL wanted, and thanks to that he was also able to make his tower. Problem is, the tower is already getting hit by a battering run, and now MBL is about to lose the tower. The tower is lost, but the fight has won, and the wagons are prevailing against the war chariot. So yes, the Korean wagons can actually be a very decent counter against the war chariot, and now this places a lot of burden on Viper. Let's now go for other weapons from the Shu. Viper switching now to the Elite Skirmisher. Elite Skirmisher are actually a good counter to the Wagons. The problem is you actually need some numbers. On small numbers, the Wagons can basically ignore the damage here from the arrows. He can dive down centers, he can get some good fights. With the support of a few knights, he can also do some very effective raids. So Viper is under a lot of trouble right now, not actually managing to go for enough Elite Skirmishers. But MBL numbers are not that scary. He can still keep adding numbers to his army, but so far I think that Viper is doing a good job here, minimizing the damage and trying to go for a counter. And there comes MBL with a forward castle. If MBL had something like 15 villagers, I would say that this could be actually the play of the game. But Viper was already collecting stone, and thanks to that he was able to drop a defensive castle, forcing MBL to cancel his own castle. I think that if Viper had no stone to defend from that, this would be the game. So going for this early stone there and getting himself ready to drop a castle was essential here for his survival. Game keeps going on. Viper's now adding other weapons from the Shu. Elite Skirmishers were actually okay to be able to trade against the Wagons, but as you can see, it's not an easy trade. He actually has to spot weak Wagons and focus all his fire on them. And now he's also adding a few archers. You might ask me what's the goal of those archers. I would say that's basically countering knights, because else knights could basically still counter most of the units from the Shu. Now with a few archers, combine it with some Weather Feather Guard, he can basically play against MBL. Let's move ourselves towards the next stages of the game. MBL is not going to be able to finish off this game during the Castle Age, neither does Viper. So now it's time for them to build bigger armies, claim the map control, and try to go for the Imperial Age. Viper's playing with massive amount of ranged units. Playing ranged units is actually pretty decent for the Shu, because you can actually benefit from the wood, and all of these units do cost wood. So he's basically going heavy on the wood and doing that. By the way, guys, I think that also worth mentioning that upgrading all the ranged units from the Shu is cheaper. Because of this, if you want, for example, to upgrade the crossbowman, you are only going to pay 131 food. If you want to upgrade the attack and the armors, you are also going to have a reduced amount of food. So all the archer unit technologies on both archer range and blacksmith are being used there. Siege has been used, lumberjacks in addition to wood has been used, foot archers having extra line of sight is also helping here to reclaim the map control. And now, guys, it's about we go towards the Imperial Age weapons from the Shu, starting with the use of White Feather Guard. I think that White Feather Guard is the perfect support unit for the archer line. We are actually talking about a very bulky infantry. It does have a base 2 range and 95 HP, so this unit pretty much can absorb a lot of damage, especially from arrows and spears. So it has great synergy with the archer play, and if I'm not mistaken, the White Feather Guard actually slows down the units that they hit. So this can actually be pretty decent whenever you are trying to support archers that can often be chased or jumped by some cavalry units, or even sometimes by skirmisher. So White Feather Guard is the perfect army here to help both siege and archers. Take a look at this. The White Feather Guard starts hitting the knight. The knights are getting slower, they have some difficulties to flee away, and they are basically shot down by the castle. Viper's now going forward, trying to make a castle, but MBL is heavy here with all the Korean weapons. Both war wagons and rocket cart, a very difficult composition to deal with, but Viper is slowly going towards the next stage, where he'll be able to use more of his weapons. Skirmishers, arbalests. Now, one very good practice that I think that everyone should have as the Shu. As soon as you join the Imperial Age, I think that you should have at least 2 siege workshops, so that you can start going for the traction trebuchets. White Feather Guard just jumping on the rocket carts. As you can see, they are so bulky regarding their stats that even this group of wagons was not able to take down this unit. So this unit can basically be used there even to snipe enemy siege because of how strong it is. Very difficult to punish, and as soon as you start healing this unit somehow, they're basically unstoppable. And there we go. MBL is right now controlling the map using the Koreans in the best way as possible. He does have multiple towers, which are now keep towers, and they already have some unit upgrades, so they have like at least 12 range. For any civilizations to deal with this would be very troublesome, but for the Shu this is not the case. The Shu actually have the traction trebuchet, which has a base 14 range. So with this 14 range traction trebuchet, he can slowly start cleaning down the enemy towers. If I had to pinpoint one downside of the traction trebuchet, it's how weak it is against buildings. I think that if you are aiming to kill a castle, for example, in a hill, you can actually take a lot of time to do that. So one of the secrets to use the traction trebuchet is to mass them, so that you can actually have access to more units. Not only that, but apart from the numbers, is getting siege engineers, so that you are going to get not only one extra attack, but also extra range. Right now, Viper does have access to siege engineers, and he is making more and more traction trebuchets. On this stage of the game, as you can see, he does have 3 siege workshop. So he is playing with regular ranged units, a few whiter feather guards making up for the front line. He even upgraded already the bolt magazine. So as you can see, some of his archers are already shooting extra arrows. Basically, your Arbalester or your Crossbowman line will have a similar hole as a Shokunu, because they are actually going to shoot multiple projectiles. So a very good upgrade. And now it's time to keep adding more and more traction trebuchet and slowly clean up the map. This is one of the best games of the Shu that I have seen so far, because basically Viper is using all the correct weapons from the civilization, all the main weapons, the ones that you actually expect to see. You have siege on the early game, then you have a transition to ranged units, you have white feather guards getting upgraded and actually making a very decent front line here for the units. Perfect game. And there we go, more and more traction trebuchets trying to hit the enemy tower. Take a look, guys, on how even bombard cannons do have trouble to deal with the traction trebuchets. Everything that the Shu has to do is to keep them safe. If the enemy tries to jump on the traction trebuchet, you are actually gonna know that from a long distance, and then you can basically react properly. And then, of course, all that you have to do is to just keep your traction trebuchet constantly hitting while you actually add other weapons. I think that's worth mentioning that Viper has upgraded all of his building armors, so even his castles now have more than 6000 HP, which are very difficult for the Korean player to push back, for MBL to push back. And he also upgraded the Elite White Feather Guard. Elite White Feather Guard goes beyond 100 HP and has a base of 3 pierce armor. When fully upgraded, you do have a unit with 7 pierce armor. 7 pierce armor and more than 100 HP on an infantry unit. Honestly, guys, this is insane. This unit pretty much says, hey man, your trash units, your skirmisher and your Broussard gameplay, they're just not gonna happen. And then this unit can also keep punishing every other unit from the game by playing combined here with the archers and the traction trebuchets. Wagons are pushing back, bombard cannons are pushing back, but the Shu player just goes back and slowly starts hitting the enemy units with his traction trebuchets. White feather guards can basically absorb a lot of damage. Very few units are effective against these white feather guards. Honestly, hand cannoneers are one of them, so props to MBL for using the correct unit for this situation. There's another thing about the White Feather Guard that's worth mentioning. There is an upgrade called Coiled Serpent Army, and basically this Coiled Serpent Army allows the White Feather Guard and also every spearman, pikeman or halberdier that is closer to them to gain additional HP when they are in bigger groups. So similar to how Monaspas stack attack, this unit stacks HP. So take a look on these units. There are like 7 units closer to them. Whenever they go beyond a certain number, they basically increase their HP, and that applies to every unit, making them an even more bulky unit. And you are basically having some natural benefit there. Obviously not natural, sorry, you have to pay for that. Anyway, basically we're having some benefit to use this unit. Korean is making a lot of fortifications, multiple keep towers, wagons and also light cavalry defending it, hand cannoneer as well, but then the Shu just keeps massing more and more units and he can always be oppressive. It doesn't matter how many wagons how many towers you do or how many bomber cannons you do, as long as the Shu has a big pack of traction trebuchets, he can still keep pressuring. And remember, the Shu traction trebuchet is a siege unit, so it does benefit from the fast walking siege there. Siege weapons and siege warships do move plus 15% faster on the Imperial Age, so trying to snipe this unit is a nightmare. Whenever the Shu start messing the traction trebuchet, be sure that you are actually going to be in a lot of trouble. And there comes Viper, aiming here to take down the tower from the distance, and the Korean keep tower is down. More armies being made and another Korean keep tower is going down. On the top side, MBL was trying to push back. Viper was basically sending a few white feather guards and also a few traction trebuchets, but MBL was slowly reclaiming this hill and eating out the gold. Okay, so he does have a target. Slowly walking around with the traction trebuchet. Economy looks pretty decent for Viper. He does have a bit of everything. He did collect the relics, so this was not just about using the Shu, but it's also about how he did play the game. He did fought for the map control. He does have access to all the 5 relics, so in a very long game it means that he is the one that will still be able to keep making siege units, gold units and other big things like this. There's only one thing missing here, guys, for the Shu to achieve their full potential, and there's something that I'm not seeing in a lot of games that I think that it can actually be very important and can benefit the Shu army very much, which is the use of the hero. All the three kingdom civilizations have access to heroes: the Wu, the Wei and the Shu, but the most important hero here, guys, is the one from the Shu, because it actually have a big status here. It can actually heal units within a nearby area. So thinking about the Shu, they do have a very static composition. Their best units are the traction trebuchet, the arbalest and also the white feather guard. None of these are raiding units. We are not thinking about units going over your opponent's economy, raiding it or anything. You are just thinking about this death ball that has to walk around the map and control it. By the way, traction trebuchets can also be pretty decent against skirmishers. Take a look on how much damage they are actually dealing to all these skirmisher line. And of course, there's the white feather guard, which are right now in 12, 10, 9 groups, so they all are always with a very good HP here, absorbing a lot of damage and making it very difficult for the skirmishers to actually do anything. And there's the hero, guys. The hero is on the quill, so we're soon gonna be able to be one of the best additions to the Shu army composition of Imperial Age. And the thing about the hero is, you want to have this guy around your army. You don't need to get this guy to get any kind of fight. He actually has some good stats, a lot of HP. It's a very expensive unit, but if there's one thing that you want to do is to just keep this guy around. If you keep this guy around, he would just heal your army for yourself. There he goes. Liu Bei is his name. 6 melee armor, 7 pierce armor, and right now there are 13 units on his range, and every unit on his range is actually getting healed. So basically he's a healer. He's an infantry hero that goes and fights quite well, so you can basically mix him in together with your white feather guards. But the biggest thing about this guy is that he will be constantly healing your units. And when you have units such as the white feather guard that are already very difficult to kill, having this hero adds a lot of value, a lot of value. So this is exactly what you want to have. Liu Bei, where is he? Oh my god, I totally missed it. There he is, under the arrow fire. Well, I don't think that this is the correct place. If I had to choose, I would actually get Liu Bei and get him closer to my main army composition, so that he could just keep constantly healing up my army. But these guys is how exactly you want to play the Shu. Massive amount of traction trebuchets being made non-stop, ranged units according to the situation, either the DPS from the arbalester or the utility from the elite skirmisher to snipe enemy ranged units, and a lot of white feather guard, which are insanely strong. Let's also take a look on other stats from the white feather guard. It only costs 15 gold, so if you do have a very powerful economy a lot of relics, and you have like a lot of farms that you can keep selling food, for example, you can just keep making this guy for a long time. And this unit, because of its stats, is a nightmare for the trash units. So I would say that thanks to that, in 1v1 scenarios, when gold starts to slow down, bang the Shu and play massive with the elite white feather guard allows you to go for one of the best Shu games possible. So these are all the weapons that you want to be using as the Shu. I hope you guys can inspire yourself looking at this game and implement all these units and these strategies here to your gameplay.